Okay, so August 4th, same day, 2019. There's Amari with his little leg braces on. When I put him on his tummy, he can actually move. He's not fussy right now. He's been like that for about an hour. He's just in here watching TV and listening to the cartoons with Andre. So hold on. Okay, so moving along. Now this is a spaghetti squash. After you cook it, you're supposed to go like this. The only thing is, people, now maybe my landlady likes, what do you call it, them young and tender, but I think for dehydrating you want them stringy, like a spaghetti, see, like a spaghetti squash, because people use this for a replacement for pasta. So in that case, that would be good for losing weight, right? Because you can go even half and half. You can go half of this. I don't know how they cook it in terms of using it as a spaghetti, but we'd have to wait until some of these things grow in my yard, because I don't even think that big one there, where is it? That one is big enough to get the strands that we want for what I'm actually trying to do here. Because this is turning into mush. Sorry. This is mush. Well, not really. Well, kind of. So anyway, you just want to, oh, I'm sorry, people, wandering eye, I'm tired. So you just kind of want to keep them in strands. Obviously, the more mature the squash, the sturdier the strands are going to be. So you don't go this way. You go this way. They seem to be pulling off in strands better if I go this way. Do you see that? Oops. So that's what you're trying to do here. So if you don't have a dehydrator, go off and get yourself one. Make sure it has a fan. It's worth the investment. As well as something that can adjust the temperature. But you definitely want a fan. So this is how I'm going to now place all of this onto my racks, and then I'm going to dehydrate them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into jars, and then one jar I'm going to vacuum seal with some of my blackberry seeds, you'll see. And the other one we're going to use just for whatever. Hold on a minute. Okay, so favorite corner, turn on the camera, start wiping your nose. It's really hot in here. Right? Anyway, you don't know these things. Don't worry, I went like this. You don't know these things until you try. Okay? The reason I turn this back on, because as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, always thinking, right? And I'm like, okay, well, before I do this again, I'm going to overgrow my spaghetti squash because I want it more stringy. That's the first thing I learned, right? Okay? Because this was, either it was cooked too much, which I don't think per se, as it wasn't developed enough, right? The flesh itself hadn't developed those strands in the smaller one. And even the medium-sized one here, I wouldn't even consider it large now. I think these things need to get a lot larger. And they might even have to cure for a week or two, right, in terms of settling down and just, drying a little bit to get those strands, because otherwise it's too mushy and it's coming together, right, too fast. So to be honest with you, I don't even know how these are going to hold up in a pressure canner, these smaller ones, right? You don't know until you try. I'm still going to try, because if it doesn't work, like I said, I can take those jars and I can still put them in the freezer, right? So I won't be losing anything other than a little time to try something different, that's all. Because this is, food is expensive, like it's out of control, right? The more they're making it so you can't grow it, and they're tearing everything down, the more expensive it's becoming. Like I said, in 50 years from now, people are going to be starving out here, if not sooner, and actually some of them already are. So I did one tray without to see how well it comes off the tray, and I did one like this because you can always pick it up and go move it around. It will come off a little easier, right? So I just wanted to say that, I don't know what I was saying anymore. And let them grow. The next batch I do, I'm going to let them get real big. And like I said, I might even let them sit out in the, air for 2 or 3 weeks. For this, because if I can make a spaghetti out of this, that I can mix half and half with the Mari, that would be really good. And because it's so fine, it wouldn't take much to cook it up in terms of, what do you call? You would just, I bet you, if it's dehydrated, fully matured spaghetti squash, you throw it into something that's already cooking, it would probably be already cooked within a couple of minutes, not even that, because it will be so fine. Oh yes, and the other thing I wanted to say, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, this is mush, like literally, that will turn into powder, right? So, with that said, instead of using tapioca to thicken things up, which if you eat too much tapioca, it's not good for you because of something that the plant itself, when it roots and grows up, it's absorbing from the environment from where it grows. So you can't eat tapioca all the time, right? But for something like this, ground it up and then used in your gravy just to thicken it up a little bit, not only are you adding flavor, oops, and it's sweet. I didn't put no sugar, I didn't put no salt, I didn't put nothing on this. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And it's really, really tasty. So for the ones that are going to end up becoming powdered squash, right, that you can just use a tablespoon at a time or whatever it is as a thickener to something else. So now that I'm doing that, I want to scrape every little bit I can out of this shell. And you know what would be cool is if I dried this shell. I'm on a roll now, people. If I dried this shell, which I'm going to wash it and then I'm going to dry it, because I have a few other things around the house that I'm doing here for Andre's walnut art, right? Because when this shell dries, I don't know, should be interesting to see what we get. We might be able to use it as a craft for something. You never know. And because I now want the powder, the squash powder, for gravy mixes and that type of thing, or as a thickener for any kind of soup that you want to make, and you don't want to use flour, and you don't want to use tapioca, and you don't want to use cornstarch, this might be a natural alternative. I can't tell you for sure because I haven't done it yet, but it might. Right? So if you're losing weight and you want a substitute for flour, cornstarch, and tapioca to thicken your sauces or your soups or your gravies, or even your salad dressings, because you don't have to reconstitute this and cook it because it's already cooked, people. Right? This might be, like I said, one of those superfoods that you want to build into your diet where it's, oh my God, I'm out of trays. Why did I do that? I still have one. So what I'll do is I'll cover that one up and I'll put it in the fridge. And I'm going to start dehydrating these ones, and then as they get smaller, I will bring 2 trays together, which will open up a tray, and then I can dehydrate this one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to see, I can still take some out from here. Then we're going to see what this, right, 2 different sizes, right, 2 of them, gets us. And if you're wanting to lose weight, then what I would recommend, if you like squash, and it doesn't have to be spaghetti squash, right? And now I have to take these little bits and pieces and just kind of fit them in here. You want to have a selection, whether they're canned, frozen, right, dehydrated, so that as you go along over the course of the next 6 months, we'll say, you can start using this more and more, once a week, once every 2 weeks, then down to maybe once a week. You might find that you like it a lot and you're using it more and more now with soup or, you know, gravies or whatever it is. So you have to have a selection. You can't just go out and buy one squash when you need it. You need to go off and buy yourself 6 or 7 or 8 squash and figure out how you're going to store it. And if you're going to go as far as that, then you might want to factor in, if you can, buy organic, if you're not growing it yourself, like me. But even still, some food is better than no food. So if you go to a grocery store and you find it on sale, instead of $1.49 a pound, you find it for 49 cents a pound. Well, that's when you go off and you buy your 8 squash, and then you come home and you prepare it so that you can use it through different methods at different times to help you with whatever weight issues you're dealing with, whether you're losing weight or gaining weight. So now that my hands are all sticky, I come in, I turn off the camera. Okay, so it's the next day. Today's Shimei's birthday, August 5th. She was born in 1995. So I feel like I'm doing gourmet canning here. Here's these purple potatoes, and here's the red potatoes. You can see I've got them in water, and now I'm going to cut them into little cubes. I've boiled already water that's going to go inside of the jars. You boil the water to boil off the chlorine, okay, and any other purities that will boil off with the steam. Other ones will settle to the bottom. The heavy metals will settle to the bottom of the pot. When you are trying to distill water, you take a big pot with a big bowl and you put water underneath. You put the lid on so that when the steam comes and it hits back down and it collects in the bowl, that becomes distilled water as all the heavy metals sit at the bottom of the pot. So this is half the step. So you can see I've got the canner ready. I'm going to do this size jar because I don't have that many. Apparently you can use these for potato salad. It sounds really good. Oh yes, and this is almost done. This has been going. I only put 1 cup of sugar in here, right? And it's sweet enough as it is. Hold on. Okay. So now we're just going to blanch them for 2 minutes. So we just get this starting to boil. The water was boiling. I threw the potatoes in there. That's the red potatoes. You boil it for 2 minutes, and then you start putting them in your jars and go on to that next. And then after that, you put your water in, put your lids in, screw on your rims, you know, just finger tight. Put them in there, and then 40 minutes. Hold on. Okay, so when you're doing this, you have to work fast, right? Because you're only boiling this for 2 minutes, and you want to get them into the jars, and this is my water, and okay, I wasn't recording. Anyway, don't forget to wipe your rims. So, they say about an inch from the rim. Mine is about 3/4 of an inch. 3 jars of red potatoes and 5 jars of purple potatoes. Hold on. Okay, so the potatoes are done. There you go. You can see. I'm just gonna do it this way. I'm almost tempted to do 1 pint size jars, because then you can process it for 40 minutes versus 90 minutes. Because this stuff, I don't know. Anyway, these spaghetti squashes are very young, so maybe they'll can a little different. After this, I am not picking my squash until they're ready or until the vines start to die. And I'm just going to store them in the house after I harden them. I'll explain that to you later, right? So in the meantime, I just threw these into boiling water, and I'm just going to quickly heat them up, and I'm going to start filling up jars. Okay, so what I did is I boiled the water, I threw the squash in there, and then I basically turned off the heat, right? And I left it in there for not even a minute before I started putting it into the jars. Okay, you can see. Okay, so I have done them now, you can see. When I opened up the canner, it smelled really, really good. It's not so bad in there. That looks actually pretty good, right? So what I'm going to do now is I am going to clean the canner, put some new water in there, wash 3 jars or so. This is where the smaller canners come in handy, but I don't know where mine is right now. And anyway, this is about 3 jars of 1 pint apple butter. So you can see it's gotten much darker. All I did was put that sugar in. What was it? 1 cup, I think? Just 1 cup of sugar. That was it. I didn't put no cinnamon, nothing. And then if you can, oh, I can't see. But you see how it kind of spreads? Right? Because it's just been cooking now for a couple of days. Right? Okay, hold on. Okay, people. I want to show you something. It's so funny. They're so cute, though. Come on. There's supposed to be a light on here. You should be able to see. Here's Mama. That's Mama. Little babies. I'm like 4 feet away from them right now. They were so hungry. I was talking to my neighbor. You can see they're scared. They can hear me talk. But they're so hungry they can't help themselves. I was talking to my neighbor, and she had a chestnut tree that, what do you call it? It was the edible kind. Anyway, long story short, the squirrels in the neighborhood raided it completely. And she's upset, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's because all the nut trees are being torn down. No oaks, no walnuts. There was hardly any walnuts up where that walnut tree was with Andre. There was nothing to pollinate it. no, there's nothing around. It's by itself. Maybe next year, maybe it'd be different. I don't know. But it hardly anything, people. Oh, this is too funny. How come you guys aren't talking to me? Huh? Seeing me move the camera. I really need to get them some water. You guys want some water? Huh? Cute little babies. Yeah, Matilda's is thirsty. And get you guys, they play back here. This is their playground. They play ball, they tip things over, they run around, they have a blast in here. All the time, every year. Really, go back into my videos, I always have baby raccoons. Oh, look at that. They're like children. How does this work? Where am I? They're just cuddling on the ground here with Mommy. Where is it? God. I'm doing very good here, people. See how Mom's just laying down in the grass and resting. Baby's staying close. You hot, Mama? I know. You like my yard, don't you? Okay, I'm gonna get you guys some water. Okay. As you can see. Give her some water. You thirsty, huh? Yeah. That cool you off, huh? See how she's... Hold on a minute. Oh, I'm coming through. Okay, move. Let's see what they do. I make them slightly nervous. One over there digging. Mama doesn't like the light. She got her back turned. Right, Mama? Right, Matilda? Huh? I know. It's rough out there. She looks so sad. The one over there is playing over there. I can't see. Anyway, you guys are okay now. There's Mom just resting. She's tired. Anyway. Oh yeah, and underneath there lives a skunk. Okay, silly me. I actually had more apple in the fridge. I just seen it just a little while ago. In terms of, you know, making that juice, right? But I got more apples, so I've got to start peeling tomorrow. So all I got out of that little crock pot was 2 jars because I forgot to put the rest in, and a little bit left over for something tomorrow. Anyway, hold on a minute. Okay, so this is what my neighbor gave me today. Andre and I were going to give her a couple of walnut trees, one black walnut and one English walnut. But anyway, she gave us this today, and her neighbor gave it to her, and then she gave me one bag, right? So it's getting late, but I think I'm going to cook these up and can these tonight because I got to get on with these apples, people, and there's other things to do. Hold on a minute. Okay, so that's what I did today. Do you see? Right? What is that? 8 potatoes, 4 squash, and 2 apple butter.